What's up guys, welcome to Freedive Passion. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about CO2 training and how to use dry static to help with your CO2 training. And to be more specific, I'm going to talk about how to get going, how to get the ball rolling and how to get started with your CO2 training. So the biggest mistake that I see when people start doing dry static or CO2 training in general is they just go too hard too fast. Either they decide to just do max statics every single time that they do a static, or they do some sort of really hard CO2 table. And I know exactly what you're thinking. If I want to hold my breath for a long time, if I want to have a strong tolerance to CO2, then I need to hold my breath for a long time, or I need to feel these really high levels of CO2. But in my experience, CO2 training doesn't work in that way. The most important thing in CO2 training, and especially in the beginning, is volume. And what I mean by volume is the amount of breath holds that you do per day, per week. Going too hard, too soon, just means you're gonna lose motivation, you're gonna feel less and less like doing the training which you need to do. And in the end, you just won't do it anymore. So your volume drops to zero. So maybe you do 2 or 3 hard CO2 tables, a week of long statics, and then already you lose your motivation. It's much better to do a series of, let's say, 15 or 20 2-minute breath holds in a week than to do 4 or 5 4-minute breath holds in a week. Of course, there's a time in your training and periodization where you should do longer breath holds or you should do more challenging tables. But this is something that you need to ease into over time. When thinking about carbon dioxide training, it helps to split it into 2 parts. There's the comfort zone and the tough zone. So the comfort zone is the amount of carbon dioxide you can feel and be comfortable and not have any stress and not have any contractions. The tough zone is the point past that. How far you can take yourself past the contractions, how far you can take yourself into this uncomfortable period of the breath hold without starting to breathe again. Now, when you first start to do static training, if you've never done it before or if you've had a long gap between the last time you did static training, you want to keep yourself in this area, in the comfort zone. Why? Because by definition, these breath holds are quite low stress. If something is low stress, you can do it more often in the individual session and more often in the week as well. So you get a really high volume, a high amount of breath holds in this area, in this zone. If you haven't done CO2 training in a while, if you haven't experienced these high levels of CO2 and you try to take yourself into here too quickly, like too soon, or your first breath hold, then it's going to be very uncomfortable, you're going to get super stressed, and you're very quickly going to start to lose motivation. Okay, maybe you'll be able to do 1, 2, 3 hard sessions in here, but then you're going to start to talk yourself out of it. You're going to say, like, today's not the right day, blah, 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 come up with all sorts of excuses, and you'll just stop your training. Whereas here, each time you start your breath hold training, you know the breath holds are manageable, and just slowly, day by day, step by step, you're just building up this comfort zone, allowing your statics to feel better for longer. And ideally, that's what we want. Freediving, it's not how long I can feel shitty, it's about how good I can feel. So the most important part of your CO2 training actually is developing this comfort zone. Then the other part later to do with periodization, and this is when we get more specific, and I'll talk more about this in later videos. Later on, you start to do harder CO2 training. So how I like to do this training when I first start out with my static and my CO2 training, which I recently have done about 2 weeks ago, I started to do my first stage of my CO2 training, is I'll figure out how long it takes for me to start experiencing contractions and to start to feel uncomfortable. Okay, so for me, that was about 2 minutes, 2 minutes 20. Then I'll just add a little bit onto that, 10, 15 seconds. So then I'll know each breath hold, I'll feel a little bit uncomfortable and get a few contractions. So let's say in the beginning, my breath holds are 2 minutes 20. My breath holds will be 2 minutes 30, so that's going past my comfort zone, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, something like that. I'll then do 4 repetitions of this breath hold. Because it's low stress, I can do it again, no problem. So I'll do it 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Maybe on the first breath hold, I get 3 contractions. Maybe on the second breath hold, I'll get 2. Maybe on the third breath hold, I'll get 1. By the fourth breath hold, maybe I can do this 2 minutes 30 without any contractions, which is what you want. Then the next day, I'll do it again. Except this day, maybe I've got a bit better. I'm getting used to the breath holds now. I've already done 4. I've got more confidence with how it feels to do a 2 minute 30 breath hold. And now maybe my first static, I only get 2 contractions during the whole static. The second one, I get 1. The third one, I might get none. And the fourth one, none. Then I'll take a day off, then I'll do the exact same training again, 4 breath holds, 2 minutes 30. And I'll keep this timing until I can do all of these breath holds with no contractions. Once I can do that, this comfort zone has been pushed. And now I can say, I can start to do 2 minutes 40. And the whole process will start over again. I'll keep doing 4 2 minute 40 breath holds until every breath hold is without contractions. And then again, I keep pushing this comfort zone further and further and further. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to do this forever. You're not going to be able to keep adding and keep doing breath holds and extending this breath hold time without ever experiencing contractions, right? It's not like you can keep going until 8 minutes with no contractions. So I like to stop at about 3 minutes when I can do 4 sets of 3 minutes with no contractions. I know my comfort zone has been extended quite well. My CO2 tolerance is getting a bit better. I'm more in the static mentality. I'm used to the different feelings by that point. And then I can start to do more challenging breath holds. Now, you don't want to do this every day. You need to rest and recover when it comes to breath hold training. I recommend training 2 days on and 1 day off. And there's no need to rush through this. Take as long as it takes for you to get up to 3 minutes. Learn to enjoy the breath holds, learn to be relaxed, learn to accept the different feelings that you experience without contracting or without becoming stressed or tense. Depending on your level of experience, this stage alone, it could take, 4 weeks, it could even take 8 weeks. So just take your time and do it right, because this is laying the groundwork for your future training. Now, I know some of you out there are like, okay, so what do I do next? Don't worry, I'll have a video out soon. When I'm ready, when I'm doing my 4 3-minute statics with no contractions, I'm going to start to introduce more challenging, interesting breath hold training. And for sure, I'm going to share that with you guys as well. So just stay tuned. Until next time, guys, take it easy and dive safe.